What if I told you that getting wealthy has almost nothing to do with how smart you are and everything to do with how you act? It's a pretty wild idea, right? So let's dive into this, all based on Morgan Housel's incredible book, The Psychology of Money.
So check out this story. It's a tale of two completely different fortunes. On one side, you've got Ronald Reed. He was a janitor. No one had a clue, but for decades, he was just quietly investing his small savings. When he passed away, he left behind an $8 million fortune. Then you have Richard Fiscone, Harvard-educated executive, had the mansion, the big career, until the 2008 crisis hit and wiped him out. Completely.
I mean, seriously, how is this possible? One guy had every single advantage you could think of. The other had pretty much none. How did the janitor build a fortune while the executive ended up broke? This is the central puzzle we're going to unpack.
And that brings us to our very first principle. The thing is, financial success is often driven by these invisible forces that we really don't like to talk about: luck and risk.
Think of luck and risk as siblings. You can't have one without the other. I mean, take Bill Gates, absolute genius for sure, but he also had the mind-blowing luck of going to one of the only high schools on the planet with a computer back in 1968. That was a huge head start, but risk was right there with him. His friend Kent Evans, who was just as smart, died in a mountaineering accident before they could even start their company together. Same potential, but a totally different outcome.
So what's the takeaway here? It's that you can't control everything. As the book says, success is never as good as it seems. Failure is never as bad. You got to be humble when you win, because luck was probably involved, and you got to be forgiving when you fail, because risk is always part of the game. The goal isn't to outsmart these forces, it's to build a financial life that's strong enough to survive them.
Okay, on to our second principle. And this one's a biggie. Getting rich and staying rich are not the same skill. In fact, they require totally opposite ways of thinking. Think about it. Getting rich, that usually takes some guts. You got to take bold risks, be super optimistic, and bet big on yourself. But staying rich, that is a whole different ballgame. It's about survival. It's about being paranoid, being disciplined, and understanding that you can lose money way faster than you made it. And man, is there a better example of this than Mike Tyson? The guy was a master at getting rich. He earned over $400 million. But he just wasn't playing the game of staying rich. He ended up millions of dollars in debt. He mastered one skill, but completely missed the other.
Now contrast that with someone like Warren Buffett. His real genius isn't hitting grand slams. It's just boring consistency for decade after decade. And here's the key. He avoided the huge, catastrophic mistakes that knock other people out of the game for good. Survival. That's his secret weapon.
Okay, so this leads us to a really powerful idea, and it's a bit of a mind-bender. We think we know what wealth looks like, but we're almost always looking at the wrong thing. True wealth is invisible. When you see someone driving a $100,000 car, you're not seeing wealth. What you're seeing is that they spent $100,000, or maybe that they have that much in debt. The actual wealth is the money they didn't spend. It's the stocks, the bonds, the real estate that's just quietly compounding in the background.
And this confusion between looking rich and being wealthy, it's everywhere. Get this, a staggering 70% of Americans, and that includes a lot of people with six-figure incomes, live paycheck to paycheck. They make great money, but they spend it all, confusing the income they make with actual wealth. So let's just nail this down. Wealth is not the car. It's not the watch. Wealth is what you don't spend. It's the financial assets that you haven't turned into stuff yet. That's why the janitor, Ronald Reed, ended up a multimillionaire. He got this principle on a deep, deep level. All right, let's move on to one of the biggest psychological hurdles there is when it comes to money. And that's the dangerous trap of always wanting more. It's an addiction that can destroy anyone, no matter how much they have. I mean, just look at the cautionary tale of Rajat Gupta. This guy was on top of the world, former head of McKinsey, sitting on a net worth of $100 million. He had everything, but it wasn't enough. He desperately wanted to be a billionaire, so he risked everything on an insider trading scheme and lost it all. His freedom, his reputation, his fortune, gone. And here's the twisted logic behind that endless chase for more. Housel calls it the man in the car paradox. It goes like this. You see a guy in a Ferrari. You don't think, wow, that guy driving the car is so cool. No, you think, wow, if I had that car, people would think I'm cool.
See the problem? We use other people's stuff as a benchmark for what we want for ourselves, thinking it'll bring us admiration, but it never really works that way.
So this all leads us to the final and honestly the most important principle of all. If wealth isn't about the Lambos and the mansions, then what is the point? What are we actually working for?
We've been taught our whole lives to picture wealth as yachts and private jets, but that's all a distraction. It's not about the stuff, not at all.
Here it is. This is the real goal. The highest form of wealth is the ability to wake up every morning and say, I can do whatever I want today. That control over your time, that freedom, that is the greatest dividend money will ever pay you.
And you know what the best part is? You don't have to be a multimillionaire to start feeling this. Even having a few $1,000s in savings changes your life. It means a car repair isn't a disaster. It means you could leave a job you hate. It's about having options. It's buying back your own life, piece by piece.
So let's just end on this thought. The money game isn't won by the person with the highest net worth. It's won by the person who uses money to design a life they truly love living. So the question I want to leave you with is this. Are you building a life that actually feels rich?